For 43 years, I lied to my wife about something so small, so stupid, that when I finally told her the truth, we both sat there in silence for a long time. Not because it was earth-shattering, but because of all the years we'd wasted dancing around it. It was a Thursday afternoon. We were sitting on the porch, and she asked me, like she'd asked 1,000 times before, "Do you ever regret not finishing your degree?" And for 43 years, I'd said the same thing. No, it worked out fine. I did all right. But that day, something broke in me. I said, yes, every single day. She looked at me like I'd suddenly started speaking another language. What? I regret it every day? I said. I regret that I quit. I regret that I was too proud to go back. I regret that I told myself it didn't matter when it mattered to me more than almost anything. Eleanor put her coffee down. She said, George, why didn't you tell me? We could have figured something out. You could have gone back. And that's when I realized what I'd done. I'd spent 4 decades protecting my ego, pretending something didn't hurt when it was eating at me the whole time. And in doing that, I'd robbed both of us. I'd robbed myself of the possibility of doing something about it, and I'd robbed her of knowing me fully, of being able to help or support or even just understand. We tell ourselves these little lies constantly. I'm fine. It doesn't bother me. I'm over it. I don't need help. I'm not angry. It's not a big deal. And maybe sometimes these lies serve a purpose. Listen, maybe they get us through a hard day or keep the peace in a tense moment. But when they become permanent, when they become the story we live inside, they start to calcify. They become walls between us and the people we love, between us and the life we actually want. I had a colleague, Frank, who worked with me for 22 years. Good man, reliable. We'd have lunch together sometimes, talk about normal things. Sports, weather, what our wives were cooking for dinner. About 6 months after he retired, his daughter called me. Frank had died. Heart attack. And she said something that's haunted me since. She said, Dad always talked about you. He said you were the only person at work he felt comfortable around. He wished he'd told you some things, but he never did. I went to the funeral, and sitting there, listening to people talk about Frank, I realized I never really knew him. Honestly, I knew the surface, the version he let me see. But whatever he'd wanted to tell me, whatever was actually going on beneath the pleasant conversations about baseball and pot roast, I never got to hear it. And now, I never would. That's what these little lies cost us. They cost us connection. They cost us the chance to be known. And being known, really known, by even 1 or 2 people, well, that's what makes life bearable, maybe even beautiful. My son David, he's 59 now, came to visit last month. We were sitting in my kitchen, and out of nowhere he said, Dad, I need to tell you something I should have said 30 years ago. My stomach dropped. I thought he was about to tell me something terrible. Instead, he said, when I was in high school and you asked if I wanted to go into business with you, I said no because I wanted to do my own thing. That was a lie. I said no because I was terrified I wasn't good enough, that I'd disappoint you. I just stared at him. David, you could never disappoint me. I know that now, he said, but I didn't then. And I've carried that around my whole life. The idea that I let you down by not wanting what you wanted. We talked for 3 hours that day, really talked, about fears and regrets and misunderstandings that had sat between us for decades. And when he left, I felt lighter than I had in years. Not because the conversation was easy, but because it was honest. Here's what I've learned. The lies we tell to protect ourselves end up isolating us. We think we're being strong, being independent, not burdening anyone. But what we're actually doing is building a prison. A prison where we're completely alone with our pain, our shame, our unfulfilled longings. And the tragedy is, most of the time, the people around us would help if we just told them the truth. Eleanor and I, we had a good marriage. Better than most. But after that conversation on the porch, something shifted. We started telling each other smaller truths. Not big confessions, just the everyday honesty we'd been avoiding. I'm scared about this doctor's appointment. I feel lonely even when you're in the room. I'm angry about what your sister said. Things we'd been swallowing for years. It wasn't always comfortable. Sometimes it led to arguments. Sometimes we had to sit with hard feelings. But it was real. And real, even when it's messy, is better than the carefully managed fiction we'd been living in. I see people my age sitting in nursing homes or hospitals, and they're still lying, still pretending. They're fine when they're terrified, still acting like they don't need anything, when they desperately need someone to just sit with them. Pride kills more relationships than betrayal ever did. Pride and the fear of being seen as weak or needy or less than we want to believe we are. There's a man in my building, Walter, 82 years old. His kids visit maybe twice a year. He tells everyone he understands. They're busy, it's fine. But I've seen him standing at the window on Sundays, watching families come and go, and the look on his face is pure loneliness. One day I asked him, "Walter, have you told your kids you'd like to see them more often?" He looked offended. I don't want to be a burden. So he sits in his apartment alone, protecting his pride, while his life slips away. I'm not saying you need to spill your guts to everyone. Some things are private. Some things you work through on your own. But the people closest to you, the ones who love you or want to love you, they deserve the truth. Not the polished version, not the I'm handling it version, the actual truth. I'm struggling, I need help. This hurts, I'm scared, I don't know what to do. When my youngest daughter called me 3 years ago, crying so hard I could barely understand her, I asked what happened. She said, "I feel like I'm failing at everything. I can't do this anymore." And instead of telling her she was fine, that she was being dramatic, I told her the truth. I said, "I've felt that way too many times. It's terrible. I'm sorry you're going through it." We talked for an hour. I didn't fix anything. I couldn't, but she said later that conversation saved her, not because I had answers, but because I was honest about not having them either. The lies we tell ourselves about being fine, about having it together, about not needing anyone, they don't make us stronger. They make us smaller. They shrink our lives down to what we can manage alone, which isn't much, because humans aren't built to be alone. We're built for connection, for shared struggle, for the relief of being known and still loved. I wasted so many years pretending I wasn't hurt when I was, pretending I didn't care when I did, pretending I had everything under control when I was drowning. And the cost wasn't just to me. It was to Eleanor, to my kids, to friendships that could have been deeper if I'd been braver. Now, I don't have time for pretending. I'm 87. Every conversation could be my last with someone. So when people ask how I'm doing, I tell them. When something matters to me, I say so. When I'm grateful, I express it. When I'm scared or confused or angry, I don't hide it. Not because I've suddenly become fearless, but because I've finally realized that being known is worth the risk of being hurt. If you're watching this and you're holding on to some small lie, some story you keep telling yourself or others to avoid discomfort, I'm asking you to consider letting it go. Not all at once, not recklessly, but start being a little more honest with yourself first, then with the people who matter. Tell someone you're struggling if you are. Ask for help if you need it. Admit when you're wrong. Say what you actually want instead of what you think you should want. Honestly, stop performing being fine and just be whatever you actually are. Messy, uncertain human. If you're interested in exploring this further, I'd recommend 3 books. The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown, When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chodron, and Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Read them. They'll challenge you in ways you need. I'll drop the links in the comments and description. This channel features people like me sharing life advice and memories. If you found value in this, subscribe and turn on notifications. And listen, if this resonated with you at all, share it with someone who might need to hear it. Leave a comment telling me one truth you've been avoiding. Hit that like button. I've got more of these in me, and I'd rather share them with people who actually want to listen. If you've got a story to tell, something you've learned that might help someone else, there's a form down in the description. Fill it out. Maybe next time we'll be sharing your story.